And the shoulders are back and down, nice relaxed frame. And just breathing in slowly and gently and deeply through the nose. And gently checking in with yourself. Namo Ranatrayaya Namo Yajana Sagada Vaduchana Vyuhara Janadabhagata Yara Hati Samasam Buddhaya Namo Sabwadata Gatibe Hatibe Samasam Buddhibe Namo Haya Awalokite Shodaya Buddhisapaya Mahasapaya Mahakaranikaya Dadyada Dara dara diri diri duru duru. De we jara jara bora jara kozame kozoma wari. Mi chiki jablo mapana yeshu ha. So I thought today we'd do a little practice that I called the 6 gates of self-return. So it's a nice little practice of connecting back in with the relationship with self, our self-projection, reclaiming any kind of dislocated or disjointed energy patterns, and just kind of restoring that sense of energetic clarity, finding our own inner sanctuary within. So the first gate, or as I called it, opening. So here we set the intention for the practice to simply return to the self. So just visualize now softening any judgments that you might have about yourself. Allow any inner essence, any inner identity of that essence to just shine through. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Another 2 times. So every time as we're going through the practice, always try and just see if you can observe how's the body feeling. What do you notice about your breath? Is there any kind of emotional content applied to the tone? And feel into the sense of space within you and around and all around you. So the first gate of our 6 sound gates that we'll do today, the first gate, if you like, it's just for want of a better phrase, I call this the shield of self. So here the purpose is boundaries, protection, and energy recall. Okay, so the qualities are sanctuary, sovereignty, self-containment. So you are safe, you have your inner power, and you are all that you need. You are self-contained. So the sound we're going to use here is sa, S-A-H. So the idea is we breathe in and visualize that sense of a protective shield or field around you. So breathe in. So following the sound and visualizing, almost like what you could visualize here is your energy field, your auric bubble, however you want to think of it, your energy field around you, that kind of egg-like shape, or a nice circular shape around you, with yourself at the epicenter. So just use the sound one more time, visualize that sound creating that sense of structure, but it's not necessarily a kind of solid shield like we might see in the physical world. This is a kind of transparent, opaque shield of indestructible nature. So one of the things that you can, this is good to do anyway, but one of the things that you can visualize is as you're projecting the sound, in this case using the sound or the syllable so or sa, however you want to say it, doesn't really matter. Almost like, like a kind of speech bubble, or in fact it's actually better than that, like on a cold day when you breathe out you can see the smoke or the condensation. Visualize the sound leaving the mouth, but then tracing around the circle or your energy field, and then as it kind of circulates around you, you can use the sound or this movement to detect any. So relax your mind and see if you can notice any holes or any rough edges to your energy fields, any gaps. And then what you can do is you can, as you're tracing around it and just feeling into your energy body, what you'll notice is undoubtedly that there will be areas of weakness, or usually gaps or little holes, or even a big hole if that's the case. And then what you can do is use the sound. Once you identify where in your field that is, then with your mind send the sound to that particular part of the energy field. And then almost like a kind of putting the plug in the bath, if you like, or if you were a ship and taking on water in the hull, you might plug the gap with I don't know, a piece of wood and some tar. Here, send the sound and know that the sound kind of visualize as you making the sound. So the sound has that capability of closing the gap, of closing the hole. So what you end up with, what you want to do is eventually obviously feel this sense of completeness. Like we said, this then becomes your sanctuary, this is your sovereignty, this is your consciousness, however you want to see it, and you are self-contained within your own energy field. So that's that really, that's the simpleness of the shield of self, or the shield of you, using a sound to explore your energy field, or the circumference of your energy field. Notice what information comes through to you, trust that information, and then use the sound to smooth it over, to make it whole. Okay, so the second gate, the mirror of essence. So this is particularly or predominantly about releasing judgment and projection. So lessening the ways in which we judge ourselves and the ways in which we project those judgments that we make of ourselves onto others. So a quality here would be clarity, compassion, and seeing. So recognizing your ability to be clear, to be kind and compassionate to yourself, to have a neutral sense of seeing. So not blindly thinking that you're absolutely the best thing that ever happened necessarily, but obviously not thinking that you're the worst thing that ever happened. So just something nice balancing in the middle. So there's nothing wrong with that sense of clarity and noticing what judgments or what ways that we perceive ourselves that might be correct, even if it's a little difficult to deal with or understand or accept. You get the idea. It's just something balanced. So the sound here is ma, or M-A-H, or M-A. Ma. Now, ma is a nice word because it's kind of tied in with the mother. In Buddhist practice, we could say the compassionate feminine, or the nurturing kindness, the loving kindness, bodhicitta. So here we use the sound ma. So 3 times. Mo. So using the sound to help you find clarity. So like we navigated our energetic fields, here using the sound to develop a sense of clarity. So know and feel that the sound helps you develop a sense of clarity that's already there. Obviously the tools for all of these things are already within you, but we're just using the sound to help propagate that, to help radiate those qualities. Use the sound ma, be your own loving mother. So not everyone can look back or know in the present that their physical mother energy is, sometimes we have difficult relationships with the mother, with the feminine, or whatever it might be. But here we can just visualize all of those qualities that you could ever think of, the most positive healing qualities of the feminine and of the mother, present within ourselves, within our own heart. So being that loving kindness that we so appreciate. Something you can visualize here is a still lake before you. So we're taking a walk up to a beautiful, clear, pristine lake. When you're ready, look down into the water and see and notice if there are any ripples. Now, if it's calm and clear, that's absolutely fine. But just gently take a few moments, keep looking, and notice if there are any ripples upon the water. Identify and accept the fact that we could see in the purpose of this visualization that the ripples are judgments that we make on ourselves, assumptions, imbalanced emotional projections and reactions. As you're calmly kind of gazing into the water, and if you do get something come through, and again, if you don't, that's fine, that's great. But if you do, then try to gently listen in with your mind's ear, and you probably are able to identify what they might be. You might already know what they might be. If you can and have identified what they are, then as you're looking at that ripple in the water, we'll use once again the sound of ma. So project the sound of ma onto that. So using the sound here to smooth the surface of the water. So if you're able to identify that ripple and say it's jealousy, for example, a feeling of jealousy that you've been experiencing recently, gazing at the lake, feel and know that's that ripple, and then just use the water, keep using use the sound almost like blowing across the water. It's almost like kind of ironing out the creases, if you like. That's how I like to see it. So what you see is just this beautiful, smooth, soft, gorgeous, pristine. Notice how perhaps sometimes, and this is my experience, everyone's different, but when I look into the water in this kind of practice, I often see if I've got problems or issues or things that are bothering me, the water is often quite murky, quite dark. It has a sense of depth to it. So another thing that's nice to do, even if you're just doing this as a kind of standalone visualizational practice, is again not just smoothing the surface with the sound ma, but also as it's smoothing and softening, then the water starts to become clear, crystalline, like some beautiful island in the Indian Ocean, almost like a kind of tropical waters, warm, inviting. And because it's a lake, what you can also visualize is drinking the water. So you can not just the water is clear and looking inviting, but it is filled with glacial meltwater, so minerals or the trace elements. You know, this water isn't just any old water. This is the healing waters. So once you've done that and you've made it nice, I'm just kind of flying along with the visualization here, but you know, in your mind, take a dive into that water. Jump in, you know, if you can swim, of course. Take a leap into the water. Maybe take a run up, like you might have done as a kid. You know, have some fun with it. Get yourself a nice run up. Go as fast as you can. Just launch yourself into the water and have some fun. And you know, just like we did with when you're talking about the energy fields. Then when you're in the water, this water is also helping to enliven, enrich, and purify, cleanse your energy body, your energy field. So there you go. You know, this is all, each one of these are kind of self-contained practices, but they can all work together. So forge number 3 of our 6. The forge of self, the forge. So this is I always like to use kitchens and forges when I'm thinking of alchemical transformation practices. 2 places, of which there are an infinite variety, of course, but 2 wonderful places, one of which we have in our homes. Probably most of us don't have a forge, so we'll just have to imagine one a bit more so. Great, I'd love to have a forge, as well as the knowledge on how to use it, but anyway, that's something aside. Anyway, so the forge is an alchemical place. It's somewhere where we go, we take materials, and we put them together to make something that we have visualized or that we want, something useful, something practical. Forges, you know, especially in the old days, requiring quite expensive or rare materials that we couldn't just go and find in the supermarket or buy online. You probably would, unless you were really wealthy, you probably wouldn't, if you had something made for you at the forge, it was more than likely to be something really practical. Something that you can actually use, not just something that looks cool. So here, we're thinking of what tools might be useful for us to create and to make for ourselves at the forge. Strength, identity. Sorry about the train going past. Strength, identity, resilience. You know, when we're talking about the authentic voice, i.e. the topic, the name of this class, the strength and the assuredness of and the resilience that you place within your voice when you're making sounds, whether it's speaking or singing or whatever it might be, or just the inner voice. I think we want a nice sense of strength. And what we mean by identity is just being able to identify with our consciousness, with the truth of our being, with our essence, and the resilience that comes from that strength. So trusting yourself, rooted. And the sound is Ra, like the fire. So you might remember, some of you, for those of you watching the replay, Ra is often the fire element sound, or seed syllable sound for the fire in both the Tibetan and the Indian traditions. So stoking the forge. So visualize a flame at the heart, or just below the belly button, or both, if you like, whatever feels right. And use the sound to fan the flames at the forge. Okay, so one sound now for lighting the forge. Ra. So just like you might blow, you know, when you're trying to get the fire going, you're like trying to get it going. Here, use the sound Ra to get the fire going, get the inner fire going. So what the first Ra is like the spark of inspiration. The inspiration is finding and connecting with your inner strength that you already have there. The second one, I want you to imagine now that we're forging. It's like a, well, yeah, what I want you to visualize is what you're going to make yourself your own magical talisman. So this is a mind talisman. This is obviously not a physical object that you're going to have at the end of today's class, but this is going to be that'd be cool if we could do that, but I'm sorry we can't. You're going to forge yourself your own talisman, your own power object. So this is something that we will do a lot, and we do a lot in the classes. So now, as we're making the sound Ra, we're using the forge now to craft and create this talisman. So if you're able to, some of you might find it really difficult, or just you're not able to do it. Don't worry if you can't, but if you can, as you're making the sound, see if you can notice, what does it look like? What does your talisman, if you genuinely could go to a forge and have one made for you, or make your own one, what would it look like? So just try and do that now. So just like when we're making a fire, we want the air to come from underneath, right? That's how we make a good fire. We want that air to come underneath. So here, as you're breathing in, before you make the sound, draw up like a draft. Draw up, like inhale from the earth. So you're inhaling the energy field of the earth in a physical sense, as well as an energetic and visual sense. So up to the so from the ground up to the belly button, that's where we light the forge. That's where the fire is stoked by the breath, by the energy, and then release with the sound, exhale with the sound, and that's how you craft. So you're strengthening the body from within using the sound Ra. So there, I mean, just we'd run out of time. I will put it in a PDF for those that are interested of this practice, but there are some simple movements, but you can make up your own. So I like to do that. Some people might feel a bit silly in doing it, but you can almost like, we've all held a hammer, I'm sure. You know, you've got the hammer and the anvil. So you can breathe in, raise the hammer, and bring the hammer down. or raise the hands and bring them down. So anything, any movements that you intuitively, I mean, this is a great thing to practice anyway. It's just, and this is a way of freeing the voice, because when you free the movements, just like kind of dancing helps you appreciate music and music helps you appreciate dancing, being free with your movement in a physical sense is going to really help you free up your voice. And when you apply that same kind of playfulness and that kind of relaxed, a lot of these things as adults we probably feel silly about doing. And someone says, raise the hammer in your mind. Some people might be like, well, that sounds like a really silly thing to do. What's that going to do? Well, maybe nothing. It's up to each person to make up their own mind. But I like to do things. I see the value in these things. The more you can use your mind and your imagination when you're doing these kind of things, the better at these things you get. The better at these things you get, the more you are able to shape and influence and direct your consciousness or your voice, which is a great way of communicating. The best communicators are people that are able to shape and consciously direct the manner of their sonic projection, the geometry of their harmonics, if you like, or whatever it might, however we want to think of it. So there we go. Anyway, gate number four. I need two more to go. I called this the Loom of Connections. So one of the ideas here is healthy relationships, balanced attachment, if you like. Now we won't dive into attachment. There's a lot to say about these kind of things. We all deal with it. And I think most of us that are on a spiritual path might recognise the trappings and the dangers, perhaps, or some of the negative patterns that can come from attachment. Obviously, it's a key part of the Buddhist teachings, as in the nature of a great deal, if not all, suffering. But yeah, it's not that. But when we talk about these things, it's not to say that when we're attached or what we're attached to is a bad thing, because attachment could also be a form of connection as well. Two things that are attached are connected. So yeah, it's not necessarily negative. Anyway, healthy relationships. So things like unity, balance, freedom. So freedom within that connection. So this applies to ourselves. So again, how does this correlate to the voice? When you feel a sense of freedom within your own connection with your own self, with your own being, with your own voice, we want all of these things to kind of be unified, right? We want body, speech and mind. We want heart and throat. We want all of these things to kind of align and connect and be in a sense of unity. So that's just something nice to think about. So the loom represents this kind of threading together. So we use a loom to weave. I love the word weave. So in magical practice, you have weaving magic is recognizing threads that connect, or the connections. So every thread represents a relationship or a connection. So the threads of your life, the threads of your soul, of your feelings, of your heart, these all are in a state of relationship. They are all interconnected, interwoven. So here you have the alchemical words, which are sounds. Don't forget as well, each of these words, every time we think of these words, we are making a sound in this context, in the context of sound healing. So I love these words, beautiful words. Thread, weaving. We weave together the tapestry of our togetherness. So that's what I want you to imagine. The sound is ya. Y-A-H, or just Y-A, so that's the silent H sound. So what we're going to do is, as we start feeling like, you might want to visualize yourself working the loom. For those of you that know what a loom looks like, you might want to find yourself seated at the loom, threading together the materials of you into a beautiful tapestry that represents you. Or the other nice thing could be a garment. So I'll leave you guys to choose your own item, whatever feels right for you. Either one of those is a wonderful thing, but you might come up with an even better one. But the tapestry of unity to craft for yourself here, or the garment of togetherness, which you can then put on. I have a lovely practice, which I'll do another time, that is all about the garment of togetherness. But anyway, so ya, So I like, because I've always been fascinated by, and I love watching people use a loom, which you don't see that much these days, but they often have a left, like a kind of foot pedal, left and right foot pedal. So what you can do here is a nice kind of somatic practice as you're making the sound ya, is you can shift your weight from one side of your body to the other. You raise your left foot down and the right foot, so a nice swaying motion, as if you're operating the pedals of the loom. Feel your sense as you're swaying gently, making the sound, entering into a beautiful rhythm, a balanced rhythm. Through that sense of rhythm and sound, feel and know yourself now as you're making the sound. I'm just speaking here, explaining, but we're making the sound, obviously, in the practice. Yo. So as you're connecting in with that balance and that rhythm, know then that you are now able and really attuned within yourself, using your voice, your authentic voice, your essence, to help you find and make more balanced choices. And that's why doing stuff like this is so beneficial, so good, because if you can get really good at doing these kind of simple, enjoyable, hopefully you're finding it enjoyable. I love doing these things, I've got to say. The more you can get into it, the more it helps you realize how you can use any one of these things to help you make better choices. Connecting with your body, connecting with the heart, the mind, the loom of connections. We want healthy relationships out there. We thread it together inside. We recognize the fact that it's probably already pretty beautifully threaded. And maybe what we need to do is just appreciate the weave, appreciate the materials that put that garment or that tapestry together. So just like any craftsman or craftswoman would want to do, you appreciate the materials, right? So appreciate the material that makes you up, your atoms, your cells, the hair on your leg or on your arm or whatever, on your head or whatever it might be, yeah. The body is a beautiful weave, thread of different materials, different chemicals, compounds. Yeah, all of these things, and then that's not even getting into past lives, all of the other threads that exist. And then obviously we are connected like great threads to everything else. So it's all one beautiful weave or one beautiful tapestry. Anyway, there you go. I won't go on about it anymore, but that you get the idea. So number 5, the compass of clarity. So navigating your life, navigating your energy field, navigating whatever you might need to find clarity. Having the compass with the map, and the map is you, really helps you find direction. So it's a great metaphor, it's a great magical device that you can use. You can also, if you, someone a bit nerdy like me, if you actually own a compass, hold it in your hand when you do something like this. Pick up the compass, or hold out your hand and imagine a compass. It could be like one of those beautiful kind of Victorian. It might be have encrusted with jewels and semi-precious stones, or it might be just made from, I don't know, the simplest of materials. Whatever feels right for you. But what does the compass do? So think of the words that are associated with these things and the ways in which they are beneficial. So navigation, so how we navigate through our mind, through our life, through the day, whatever it might be. Orientation, direction. These all, for me, are really positive words. When you're thinking about how you can utilize and make use of your voice, you wanna understand and connect, don't you, with direction. The orientation of your communication, that means everything. You know, when we get lost, when we lose our way with our communication, that's when it's not so clear, it's not so effective, it's not so good, it's not so harmonious. So focus, clarity, direction, navigating, orientation, all of these words, the clear path. So the sound is na, but not no, but na. Na. So what you can do is, as we make the sound, you can visualize the compass in your hand. You might perhaps, as you're making the sound, it's kind of, the compass is slowly spinning. But then, think of something beautiful that you want to enact in your life. And as you're making the sound and you're seeing the compass turning, try and find a sweet spot where you allow, if you like, the compass to settle, and visualize it kind of like in a, so say something that I wanted to bring into my life right now was abundance. So in the circumference of you, around the circle of you, like we did in the first one, try to visualize or feel into where a particular, it's an abstraction, of course, but let's just say for me abundance is kind of like northeast of my compass, if I'm facing north, like in front of me. So what I might visualize is, as the compass is spinning, allow this to use the sound to where the needle just then points you to your direction of where you want to go. So try to hold that focus long enough so that you can do that. So using na. Let's do that now. No. Birds out there are navigating, they're finding their compass. They have their own compass, don't they? Those birds, when they're migrating, they know where they're going. They have a clear sense of direction, unless it's messed with by electromagnetic fields and forces, man-made stuff. But yeah, the other thing that you can use the sound for is clearing mental fog. You know, the other nice thing about doing these kind of visualizations is it's a great opportunity to notice your resistance. So some people are often sometimes resistant to the act of visualizing. Oh, I'm no good. I've done it myself. I'm no good at that. No, I don't want to do that. What's the point in doing that? So a lot of people might even just meet that resistance before they even get started and just give up. But the other benefit of doing these kinds of things is that, yeah, you get to meet your resistance. So, you can use any of these sounds to help clear. The more you can focus, the more you're able to see beyond that resistance, to kind of push through it. And it takes practice and persistence. Just like reaching your destination does. You can have the map and the compass, so you know where you're going, but you still have to go there, right? You still have to make an effort. And yeah, we all find that difficult sometimes, but persistence pays off. The last thing you can do is, once you've found that your direction and you've stabilized, and what you can do is, like my example was abundance, and I use the sound to stable the compass, and it's pointing to, and what you'll find is that when you move the compass to and align, almost like when you can do this with stars as well, but that's a whole separate thing. You kind of align, and you feel that that line, that alignment, that connection. So when I'm looking at the abundance, then what you can do is kind of use the sound to travel to that abundance. And then what I tend to visualize in my mind is, I kind of almost fly with the sound to my goal, my direction, the thing that I want to implement or bring into my life. And then, almost a bit like diving into the water, or like diving into the box of abundance, like, just visualize yourself, well, you've arrived there, you are that abundance, you've already achieved that. You can connect. And I think that's, I know for a fact that psychologically, that's a very powerful thing to get good at. It's one thing to, we don't just want to be seeing those things in the distance. We want to be we want to really feel that we are that. We are that abundance. So we've got it now. It's not something to do next week or tomorrow. It's now. Anyway, the final one, number 6. So the sanctuary within. So again, returning a little bit to the beginning of the practice. What's the goal of the sanctuary? Again, always try to identify the healing qualities, or words, which are sounds, whether they're spoken or thought within the mind. Sanctuary represents inner peace. I must remember to shut the window next time. Inner peace, wholeness, safety, relaxation. I mean, we talk about, it's my sanctuary. What do we mean by that? It's a place where we go, like a lot of people might have a sanctuary, if they're lucky enough, in their home, that they even put together. Like, that's my safe space, that's the place where I go to relax. That's the place where I go to recharge the batteries. The energy batteries. So, visualize yourself now a sanctuary. If you already have one that you've made for yourself, nice one, that's wonderful. Then you're free to travel in your mind to that place that you already know. It might not be in your home, it might be somewhere that you like going to that is your sanctuary. So identify one, if you've got one already, that you want to go to. And for those of you that don't have that, then make one now. We're going to make one together. So no matter how connected you feel to your powers of visualization, for those of you that find visualizing things and imagining things a little difficult, just relax. And if I said to you, what would your ideal space or place be like? A sanctuary where you feel safe, you can recharge, blah, blah, blah. Think on those things. Like, I'm sure everyone has an answer to that if you just relax and let go enough and just say what it is to yourself. So you know what that looks like. or you can have a good idea what that looks like. So start to put together that place. It could be a nice beach, it could be a lovely memory foam bed in the middle of a beautiful forest next to a stream. It could be whatever it might be. Tree house, whatever. And the sound here, we're going to use Om. So yeah, you can visualize an external sanctuary, but the thing that we really want to do with this practice is feel and visualize a warm sanctuary within your heart space. So when we say heart space, or when I say heart space, should I say, it doesn't have to be the anatomical location of your heart, although that's fine, it can be that too. But I suggest a combination of both. You can visualize your physical heart, but you can almost like diving into it in a kind of quantum or a multi-dimensional sense, almost like diving in, going into your heart. That infinite variety of levels, dimensions, fractals, however you want to think of it. Finding yourself at peace. And for those of you that don't feel at peace with your hearts, which is perfectly human and very common, unfortunately, then that's where you can use the sound, the universal sound of connection, the Om. Use the Om to, like we've done with all of the other stuff, to soften. So feel a sense of, you know what, you can connect in with warmth, right? We all know what it feels to feel warm. Warm bath, warm sunshine, whatever it might be, or warm love, whatever it might be, or all of those things. Use whatever you have at your disposal to help you feel and tap into that feeling. Connects using the sound with the quality. The quality is the sound is the quality. There's no separation really between the two anyway. So you could even put your hand on your heart. The beautiful sanctuary of the heart. The coherence. Now, this is the last thing that I was going to say. The best way of using our voice is when it's connected to the heart. There's lots of beautiful research at places like the Heart Math, to use the American term, or as the Heart Mathematics Institute. They've done some great work on heart or harmonic coherence. We won't delve too much into some of the hypotheses surrounding how it all works. Obviously, these are things that are not scientifically proven yet, or will be at all for whatever reason. But I think in the artistic sense, it's not that the science doesn't matter, but we can use any concept, no matter how abstract or even incorrect it might be, as long as what we're doing here is finding a correct way of connection within ourselves, then we can visualize and imagine whatever we want. So, the heart coherence. One thing that is for sure is that, I don't know about you guys, but definitely, like, the best speeches I've given, the best lessons that I've taught, the best words that I've said to partners or friends and family or animals or trees or the world or the universe as a whole, is always when I'm more connected with the heart. When we're disconnected from the heart's coherence, we tend to speak incoherently, both to ourselves and to other people. Anger, jealousy, neurotic behaviour, whatever it might be. These are all things that are not as coherent, as balanced. So that's the final gate. The sanctuary within is connecting. Find all the ways that you can possible using the sound, and it doesn't have to be. So that's the last caveat that I'll put onto this practice. Like I always say to people, is that you can use any sound. The sounds that I've taught here today are just sounds that I made up that felt right for whatever reason. And I know sometimes that triggers people, but it's okay. Or at least I think it's okay to do such a thing. And you know, in the experience of many lifetimes and this lifetime of working with sound, I'm pretty happy with that. That's really okay to do. And in the spirit of playfulness, again, you know, when you're trying to connect with your voice, whether you want to be a singer, you know, I'm a singer, I'm a professional musician, I've spent a lifetime singing, however badly, and out of tune at times, but the real joy is in the playing, right? The coming together within yourself or with other people or both, for the joy of sound, for the joy of connection, the joy of unity, of a bunch of musicians, a bunch of people in the audience coming together to listen to those musicians. Yeah, it's fun. Be playful. That's my advice for all of these things. And I've done it myself, like just being way too serious about everything and wanting, I don't know, just it really detracts from the joy. And all of these kind of practices, I think, should be, on the whole, should be very playful and joyful. And you know, for those of us, for those a lot of people that have come to this particular class in the past, and me too, you know, I experience it. Sometimes I hate my voice, sometimes I really like it. Despite the fact that I've sung all my life and played on records and blah blah blah, you know, I still have these great big moments where I'm just like, oh man, what is that sound? What is that I just put down on that track, whatever it might be? Or so yeah, recognizing that we all have this dynamic journey with ourselves, and that these are all just little tools that we can use to help make that journey just a little bit more balanced, a little bit easier. Hopefully, that's the idea. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions? Anything you'd like to ask or iron out?
Um, when do you find is the best time, or is there one, to do these practices? Like every day, just whenever you need them and whatever pieces, parts feel right? Or
Great question. I think it's got to be really a combination. Yes to all of the above, really, and it's up to us to decide. What I mean by that is, like, it's great to come up with a specific time, especially if you have a busy life. You know, some of us might, the only time that is best to do this is when you have free time. That might be the morning, whenever it is. So I would just allow be playful in finding the answer to your own question there. I would experiment with both. Maybe you could do a week where you do it at a particular time, and then the following week randomize it, you know, or just choose a different focus or flow with it. So just, yeah, find whatever works for you. But I think the most important thing is, whether it's this practice or that practice, or that it's just the quality of connection. It's like the more you do it, the better you get, just like pretty much everything else in life. So the more you practice making sounds, the more comfortable, the more natural it feels. The more natural it feels, the more you then realize how that can influence how you communicate, how you converse, how you listen to others as well. Yeah. So yes to all of the above and more and beyond. Yeah. How did that feel for you?
it feels good, and I kind of anticipated that. And I feel like it's going to be a similar answer to this question, with so many practices and so many different things that you can do, especially if you have a large repertoire of different practices.
Yeah.
Um, how do you personally manage it? Like, have like a few that you do every day, mix and match, and then, add in some more as needed. Um,
The, the the really honest answer to that is I just constantly make new ones. I'm a Gemini. I'm a little bit of a chaotic creator. I have to be honest. And one of the things that I've struggled with in my personal life, creatively and professionally, is really focusing, which is why I create a lot of these things to help me focus. And then in the doing of them, I'm like, actually, yeah, this is pretty cool. I might like teach this the next time I have a class or whatever. But no, the honest answer is that there are many of these that I do return to at times, but I just keep creating. Yeah, that's probably not the answer you were you were expecting necessarily, but I could say it would be a lie that yeah, I do these practices like every other day. It's just that I don't. I do them when I feel or when I remember to. Sometimes that might be, yeah, I do have thoughts of like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow, or I'm going to do that now. So I do return to them, and I do them again. But yeah, a lot of the time, partly the reason for that is obviously as a content creator, as someone that is teaching these things, I'm constantly looking for new things that I can create so that I have something new to teach people. For example, when I do a weekly class, say yourself, you've been a few times, you wouldn't probably want to do the same thing each time, especially when people are paying for it. So that is part of my answer to that, is one of the reasons that I'm constantly creating new stuff is for that purpose and that reason. However, the last thing I'd say is that the way I truly see it is that almost like kind of going beyond that question is that it's kind of the same. The I might call it something different. I might be doing a different movement or a different sound or yeah, a different visualization journey, whatever it might be. But the essence of what it is that we're doing here is basically the same every time. It's connection. It's practical, direct and practical experience of our consciousness, how that interacts with other consciousness or within the context of unity consciousness. Yeah, and just the techniques kind of remain the same. It's just there are infinite playful ways in which we can go about doing that. So while we might have all of these different practices, and like going back to your question, how do you keep a tab on it all? Well, the way that I keep a tab on it all is recognizing that ultimately there is no separation between these things, and that it's the same. So that's how it feels to me. That's how I avoid the chaos. Is that what underpins that? The essence of all of that is is one, basically. Yeah. Hope that answers the question just about. Cool. Right. Well, thank you very much. Lovely to see you, as always, Amy. And I hope the rest of you enjoy it. For those of you that do watch the replay, hope you enjoy it too. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, and the same obviously applies to you, Amy. You're welcome to reach out and ask me anytime you can think of something if we haven't covered it in the class. And see you all again soon. Nice one, Amy. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.